Hello and welcome to today's episode of Dream Business, Dream Life. Now, whether your business is your main source of income or a top-up income, you still want it to be profitable. You know that famous saying, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity? Well, today I want to explore that a little bit more. It's a topic that always causes a great deal of conversation. It causes a great deal of mixed opinions. Some say you need to focus on turnover, as without that you haven't got a business. Some say you need to focus on profit, or effectively you become a busy fool. My opinion, you need both. You need to focus on both. You need to concentrate on both. Because in general, if you get more turnover, you're going to lead to more profit. But I'm going to share with you a bit of a personal story today. And that story is going to show you that nothing is clear cut. Nothing is that cut and dry. Having more turnover does not mean that you're necessarily going to have more profit. Because you may have lots of turnover, but a really poor profit. And nobody wants that. So let's first be clear. The difference between turnover and profit. In its absolutely simplest form, turnover is the total value of all of your sales, all of the money that comes in. And profit is the money that is left. The money is there for you to effectively pay yourself or to reinvest into the business. Now, I've spoken about my e-commerce business a lot. So I'm sure you know that I was overworked in that business. I worked all the hours, which meant I wasn't spending any time working on my business. And you'll have heard me say a million times how important it is to not spend all of your time working in your business. You need to be working on your business if you're wanting to get the growth. So I was working in my business way too much, doing the same things, not analysing the data or looking at the bigger picture. And I learned the hard way that it's essential that you don't just let the data do its thing. So back to my story, I saw my turnover rising. There was plenty of money left at the end of every month after I paid all of my bills to pay myself, to reinvest in new stuff, so systems, stock, anything that I needed. So naively, I assumed that all was good. I wasn't monitoring my profit. I knew the turnover was okay, but all wasn't good because unbeknown to me, I'd been selling a range of products for months at a loss. Now, I'm not talking about a few pounds here and there. I'm talking about thousands of pounds worth every single month. So I was buying the item, paying all the sales fees, the credit card fee, that sort of thing, paying a team member to pick and pack these orders, paying for the postage and packing, paying for all of the envelopes and all of the stuff that we needed to ship the orders out there. And the price I was selling for the item for didn't even cover that cost. Never mind make me any money. And every time we sold out of that product, I just kept ordering more. And the process continued. We continued to sell more and more at a loss. Then another time, our system had a little bit of a blip and a range of our products got reduced to a penny. And that was a penny with free postage and packaging. And we shipped quite a lot of those orders before we realised that was a problem. Now, some were with other products, so it wasn't quite as bad, but some were completely on their own. Now, you may be sat here thinking, what idiots? Who on earth would do that? Who on earth would let themselves sell products to loss and reduce products to a penny without even realising for a while? Well, I tell you now, when you're so busy and you've got a lot of automation in place, you never think to go and manually look at something that you never expect to be an issue. But I can assure you, we've soon learnt that that isn't the case. We soon put a process in place to stop it happening again. And of course, we did some serious training with our team to make sure that they would spot it too. But due to the volume of orders that were coming into our business, neither of these things caused a problem in the bank. And I think that's when a lot of people start to realise that there's a problem with the profit, when there starts to be a problem with the bank. We could still pay all of our bills. We still had a great turnover. We could still pay ourselves a decent wage. So we simply didn't spot it until we sat with our accountant. He pointed out that our cost to income ratio had dropped a little bit, taken a bit of a tumble. It wasn't massive, but it had taken a bit of a tumble. And at the time, I remember it to this day, sitting there thinking, well, I don't know. But you know what? I can make up a few reasons, possible reasons that it might be there. Things like, well, postage costs have gone up and that sort of thing. Things that made sense, but they were made up. And then a few months later, I decided, do you know what? It's about time that you started to do some proper working on this business. And so I started digging. And I started digging into the profitability of some of these products. And I was absolutely shocked, mortified, gutted, all of the above of what I discovered. Because that was the moment I discovered we were selling some of our products at a loss. And I was kicking myself, absolutely kicking myself for not doing this work sooner. Angry that I'd got no time to do this sort of stuff and telling myself what a rubbish CEO I was. I mean, what normal business owner would let this happen? But it turns out a lot of people do. A lot of people are not running their businesses in a profitable way, or at least in the most profitable way that they can. But it was that moment equally that I changed my approach to finances. And it's why now one of the first things that I do with my clients is challenge them to look at their profitability. So, yes, of course, I paid for my mistakes in my pocket, but what it actually gave me was a great lesson in money management. And I've since been able to benefit from that personally, and so have a lot of my clients. So I take it as a positive. So here's a couple of things that having poor profitability actually could lead to. And there's lots, but this is just a couple of the ones that I want to point out. The first is working so much harder than you need to. Yep. If your profitability on a product is not good, you're having to work a lot harder to make yourself the amount of money that you need to make, because you've got to sell 2 or 3 of them to give you the profit that you need. And the second is not being able to pay yourself correctly. And who wants to work their socks off for little or no reward? If we're honest, nobody does, not really. So when did you last look at your profitability? And by that, I don't mean looking at the final profit figure on your profit and loss sheet. I actually mean looking at how your profit and loss is made up. I always have, and I always recommend my clients have 2 financial targets. One is turnover, because that absolutely does matter. And the second is profit. So how much of that turnover do you actually want to be profit? Whether you choose to reinvest that profit or take it as a wage for yourself or have it as retained profits, that is completely your call. But what is that target? I get asked all the time what that should be. What is the average? And I think the honest answer there is I can't tell you, because the different profit margins vary from business to business. There are so many factors that need to be taken into consideration when you're getting to know what your profit margin is, what your normal profit margin is. Because if you've got a team of people, your profit margin might be less than somebody who is doing it all on their own, for example, the percentage profit here. If you're going through a period of growth and you're reinvesting lots of money into the business, I don't know, on systems or tech or training or whatever that looks like, then your profit is going to be down. But what you do need to do is to get to know what your normal standard profit margin is. So how do you make sure you're profitable? Or should I say, make sure you're as profitable as you can be? First things first, you need to look at outgoings. Are they needed? Can you save any money? Over time, let's be honest, how many times do we have money coming out of the bank, just a few pounds here and there, that you forget to cancel, or you've got twice, or it's something you no longer use? So doing that regularly, looking at what you've got coming out and making sure that 1, is it necessary? And 2, is it the most cost-effective way that you're doing it, is key. You need to do that. But then the piece of work that you really need to do is look at the profit for each of your individual products and services. Now, my e-commerce business, we had hundreds of thousands of different products. So we did it in product range because most of the products had the same sort of price. So what you need to do is work out how profitable each of those products or services are. I find a lot of people spend a lot of time and effort on their least profitable offer. And that's quite often because that's the product that they're selling most of. Now, simply by switching your focus to one of your products and services that is more profitable, you can not only save yourself time because it takes you less time to deliver, make, or whatever it is, that product or service, but actually your profit could go up because for each one you sell, you make more money. Is this making sense? Sometimes your turnover will drop. Sometimes it means that you make less money at the top, but the money that you've got left at the bottom quite often can be better. And this is totally possible because if you remember me telling you about me selling those products at a loss, after I deep dive into all of our products and stop selling some of the ranges because we realized we couldn't continue to sell them at that price and they were too competitive to increase the price, yes, we lost a chunk of our turnover. But that meant we were able to cut costs in other ways and apply our attention to the more profitable ranges, apply our investment into those more profitable ranges, and our profit went up. And what I mean by that is we had more actual physical profit from less turnover, more money in our pockets, so to speak. I also did this exact same process with a client. And she was able to not only save her lots of time, but also increase her turnover by 5 to 7 grand a month, which led to her having more profit and more time to focus on the next growth project. She's now smashing 10K months easily and getting time off, which is something she never had before. She was scared because what she had to do was stop doing the things that she thought was bringing in most of the money for her. From a turnover perspective, it was, but from a profit point of view, it absolutely wasn't. Of course, that means, yes, it's uncomfortable, but it can be an absolute game changer. You've got to make sure you've done it right. So if you're running your own business, even if you're not driven by money, you need to be making money. And that means making enough money to pay yourself, not the vanity money that makes you feel like you've got a business, makes you feel like you can go out there and say, hey, I'm earning 6 figures, I'm earning 10K months. Great if it's making you money. If you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, is that really what you want out of your business? And of course, at first, when you first launch your business or when you're going through a period of growth, you may have to take a hit on that profit, but that should never be a forever thing. If your profit is not good and you cannot justify it through the fact that it is your first year, you're investing in the business, or you've brought new staff in and you've got to go through a period of growth before you can start to feel the benefits of paying those staff. If you cannot justify that profit, then you need to be looking at what the problem is. And something else that I see, and this shocks me how many people do this, but as business owners, you need to be paying yourself a wage. If you're not paying yourself a wage right now and you're just thinking, well, I'll take money out as and when I can, my first challenge to you is to go and pay yourself something every single month, even if it's just £50. Because once you start to pay yourself, you're going to feel far more positive than you do right now. It's going to feel much more worthwhile. And that is naturally going to make you stop wasting money because it's going to give you more incentive to go and do the things that you need to do. And yes, you can still pay yourself even if your profit margin is low. And of course, if you're not getting the sales at all, then that is a totally different conversation. But even if you're getting a few sales, even if you're getting one sale, you should be making a profit. How you use that profit is absolutely your call, but please do not keep putting yourself at the bottom of the list when it comes to spending that profit. Thank you for listening. I will see you next time.